Welcome back to Angela's Craft Room. I've come today to show you and just go through with you the envelope, Stampin' Up envelope punch board. I've had a lady ask me to do a tutorial on it for her, one of my customers, so I'm happy to do that. So I'll just go through the envelope punch board to start with. Now when you open up your box, this is what you'll get, is your envelope punch board. It comes with its own storing tool that comes out of there. So just remember, when you're finished with it, make sure you pop it back in there and you won't lose it, okay? Because it is very important. It's a lot harder to just use a normal scorer. Like a bone folder, you do need this tool to use it. So be very careful not to lose that. One other thing that you will get in your box is a sticker sheet. And all that is if you prefer to work in metric, you just can peel it off and stick it over here, as this is in inches. Personally, I've always just used the inches, but if you prefer to use metric, that's what this is for. Otherwise, just keep it in your box just in case you decide to use it at a later stage. Now, the envelope punch board does make 66 different size envelopes. So this first row on each one of these 3 sections is your card size. So you measure your card first, and then you would look to see which is going to be the closest measurement to your card size. Now, one hint that I'll let you know is when you measure your card, don't add like 1/2 inch border or anything like that to think, you may think that then it will fit my card in really easily, because this measurement does allow for the final envelope will have an approximate 1/8 of an inch margin on all sides of your envelope, so your card will fit nicely inside. This is one that I just quickly made this morning, and that was made just with a 6" by 6" piece of smoky slate cardstock. And that was, so I had a card that was 3 inches by 4 inches, which I just went to here and found 3 by 4. Went across to here, it told me I needed to cut a piece of cardstock at 6 inches by 6 inches. And then my final reading was that I needed to line it up at the 2 5/8 of an inch score line at the top up here, which you'll see how I do that as we proceed. So I thought that I'd make a different size for you, just so you can see the difference. So then I have a card that measures 3 1/2 by 6 inches, which is measurements down here, 3 1/2 by 6 inches. I go across to the second row, and it tells me that I need to cut a piece of cardstock at 8 inches by 8 inches to make my envelope. And then I go across to the third row, and it says I need to line it up at the 3 1/8 of an inch score line up here. Now, once I've done my first score, and you'll see what I mean, when I rotate my cardstock, you don't line it up at the 3 1/8 every time. You only do that the very first time, and then you will have a scored line on your cardstock. Then when you turn your piece of cardstock each time, you line up your scored line on this score guide here. And it's really important, there's a little notch there, just if you can see. That little notch there, that is what your score line needs to be lined up with that. And then you would score down this indented score line along here, okay? So I'm just going to turn it round because I can't work upside down. So I've pre-cut my 8" by 8" piece of cardstock, and it tells me I've got to line it up at 3 1/8 of an inch, which is at the top there. So I've lined it up at 3 1/8 of an inch. Then I'm going to punch it down and then score it down the score line. Okay, then we turn it. Now I've got that score line there, and that is what I'm lining up the score line at, that notch that I showed you earlier. Then I need to punch again and score it down. Then turn, line up my score line again at that little notch, punch it again, and then score down there. And then very last side, line it up on my score line and just punch it down and then score it. And then that's all the sides done. Now just make sure that you do, just adjust that a little bit for you, that you do punch each side. So you should have a little indentation on each side. Now we're going to turn on each one of these points. We're going to put it in the back of the envelope punch board now, just to neaten up our envelope before we fold it. And then you just punch it down, and it gives you that nice rounded edge. So I'll just do that on the 4 sides, the 4 points. And just, camera's moving a little bit today, I'm sorry. And then just on the last one, so then we've finished with the envelope punch board. So then all you have to do then is fold. You can use your tool that comes with the envelope punch board. Just fold on all 4 score lines. Just gives it a nice crisp finish. Now, just like to see how I'm going to fold my finished card. So what I like to do is I bring up the piece up there, but I don't run my glue runner all the way down there, because otherwise you'd have glue up there. So you're best just to run it a little bit on the sides there. Okay, you'll get to do it how you want to do it, but this is just how I do it. And then I bring that over and it just sticks down straight away. And then you have your envelope. So you can see the different size envelope. And then what I like to do, I like my tear and tape. I just take a piece of tear and tape. and I just put a little piece on there. So when I'm ready to seal my envelope, didn't want to do it for me. Stick that on there. Just go. Just didn't want to pick up for me. Then once I've got my card in there, I'm just going to put that down, and that seals your envelope. That's the front of it, and that's the back of it, and that's the smaller one I did earlier this morning. So you can see how easy it is to make your envelopes. And as I say, you've got 66 different sized envelopes that you can make with your envelope punch board. So I hope that helps you use your envelope punch board, and I'll try and come back at a later stage and do a tutorial on the gift bag punch board and also the gift box punch board. They are a fantastic instrument to have, and they are the 3 punch boards that Stampin' Up do sell. And if you're in Australia, you can purchase one from me for $32. Postage is $5.95 anywhere in Australia, and that is for an order up to $119, which is awesome value at the moment with the postage rates going up so much. So that gets shipped directly from Stampin' Up to you. There's no middleman. It doesn't come to me. It goes directly to you, so you get it in a few days. So I will put the link to my store at the end of the tutorial. And if you've ever thought of joining Stampin' Up, just drop me a line at my email address that I'll put at the bottom also for you. And I would just really love to hear from you. And I just thank you for spending a little bit of your time today with me while I showed you this tutorial, and I really look forward to seeing you next time for my next tutorial. Have a crafty day.